fun time. It has been an interesting journey at Sotterley. Sometimes I think I've learned a lot of lessons that I didn't even want to learn, but I have learned anyway, where it's like this old house in the money pit sometimes. But it's also a fabulous place, and there's so much going on. Just out of curiosity, has anybody, who has been there in the last 5 years, since the hurricane? How many of you have been there for an event? Has anybody been there for a tour? I'm so impressed if you've been there for a tour. Well, if you haven't been there for a tour lately, in the last 5 years, the tour did change. We ended up having our tour, we had an IMLS grant to redo our tour, so it's more inclusive. We have an audio tour of the grounds. You can walk around and listen and get a sense of what you're seeing, which allows people, whether or not you are going to go on a guided tour, you still get a sense of who and what we are. We created a new video, which is hyperlinked on the website, also can be seen on the in the visitor center, that really sets the stage for what you're going to see. Because Sotterley, and many of you know this already, it's a complex history to tell 300 years of history, but not of one man or one family. Most historic sites really address one era, and we don't do that. We talk about 300 years of history, but it's the white, the black, the free, and the enslaved that were there. And when you have 160 years of slavery in your site's history, you have to be honest about it. You don't get to pick and choose your history in this world. You have to address and acknowledge what's actually there. So with our tours and a lot of things that have been going on, we're making it more inclusive to really tell all the sides of the story. So not only did we redo our tours, we redid our signage. The brochure that you see is also one that was redone in the last few years. We also had a new exhibit that opened last year, which we're really excited about. It's our first permanent exhibit. Our house and all of our buildings are exhibits for us, but as far as an interpretive exhibit, it's in our corn crib. And if you're not familiar with which building is called the corn crib, it's the one near the parking lot that has the tools around the outside. We had that building restored, and inside we have an exhibit talking about the lives of those on whose sweat equity that site was built. It's about the lives of the enslaved and the farm workers that followed. It talks about their day-to-day lives, things that they faced. It even gives you an idea of what it was like to be a child if you were one of the laborers here at Sotterley. And even things like day-to-day activities like laundry. We like the hands-on aspects. We want people to touch things. So we have this bucket with this acrylic water in there that you can pick up and understand just how heavy it was to have to cart that from the river back up and do the laundry. In fact, one of the education programs that we have at Sotterley, we address laundry. And all the children, when they leave, I went on one recently and I said, Nessa, when all your parents tell you need to start doing laundry and all you have to do is push a button, you should feel really grateful because it was a week-long process before. And the children use this Land, Lives, and Labor exhibit a lot in the education programs that we do. It really brings a reality to what they're seeing, because with all the kids that come, we want them to have that connection to the place. I got to do an education program recently, and you should see the kids' faces when they realize there was no toilet paper when you take them to the necessary. Just little things like that, understanding that you had to grow everything. If you were making cornbread, how you had to work that from the time you grew it to grinding it to every step of that. And some of those aspects are brought in this new exhibit. And so once again, whether you're on a formal education program or not, it allows you to connect to the history in a different way. We also have a new exhibit going in, our slave cabin exhibit. The slave cabin is such an impactful building, but if you don't walk into it and get in this very small, tight space that I can almost hit my head on the ceiling in there, you don't really think about, my gosh, 12 to 20 people could have lived in this one building. So we want people to be able to go in without a guide, but it's fragile. The stairs, which were put in post-emancipation, really aren't safe. People could get hurt in them. So, but we want you to be able to walk in, because you don't get the impact of the space unless you walk in. So we got a grant to create an exhibit inside, and it's going to be as though you're walking in the 1850s and everyone's out for the day. And this is based on the stories, oral histories, and research from Agnes Kane Callum, one of our former trustees who passed away this last year, but she was descended from those enslaved at Sotterley. and all that she brought to the table has formed a lot of our programs, but is going to be part of what that slave cabin exhibit will be based on, and you'll be able to walk from door to door with exhibit rails, which will help tell the story, but will also keep people away from the areas that they could either hurt themselves or could hurt the site. But once again, connecting them to the site. So exciting new exhibits like that are coming on board. If you haven't come out and walked around, we've expanded our nature trails. You can walk 6 miles around the site now in different places. You can bring your dog. We are now dog friendly. And on the trails this past year, we had a brand new event, 5K and Fun Day. Now, Lynn Fitrell was a master at trying to get us organized with this. She did a fabulous job with the 5K. Thank you so much, Lynn. Barbara was there. Oh my God, it rained. And there was mud. We should have called it the Mud Fest. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Those runners are intrepid. They will run in anything. The Fun Day wasn't quite so fun because it was just so cold and rainy, but we're going to do the 5K again, taking advantage of the trails and the site. We've even had horse groups come now and taking advantage of the site and coming and doing trail rides at Sotterley, so that's exciting. One of the things we've been doing the last few years, which I love, is our farmers market. We've put land under production again. For the first time in a number of years, we've been haying the site, for years, and it had always been a sustainable farm. Sustainable was what historically all farms were. All farms were. So the new sustainable word, we just laugh because everybody who's a farmer goes, well, that's what life was like anyway. But for us, we've put it back under production. This year we've got 9 acres that will be under production of actual vegetables and produce. We also have about 3 acres of sunflowers. We're going to have pick your own sunflowers. It's organically, we're certified organic, which is not for the faint of heart. I've been out there picking potatoes and things and the weeds. I'm going, okay, there better not be anything in here as I'm out there playing around in the plants and the weeds. It's hard to keep, hard to keep them at bay, but the results are fabulous when you do that. So we're a producer-only market, and it's Saturdays from 8 to 1. Started this last weekend, we'll go through September. We do have to stop in time for our big wine event in the fall, but we have tractor rides. We like to get people connected to the site, so we have tractor rides. Sometimes we have cooking demonstrations. We really want to connect people to the site and to our history, and we make it fun for everybody that comes. We've got other vendors coming as well. So we have a wonderful speaker series. If you haven't been, it's free. There's some flyers in the back. Wonderful speakers on a whole variety of topics, and it's free to the community. We want people to come and enjoy these wonderful educational topics that are touching all different areas. Anything that might interest you, there's probably at least one that's going on. So we like to have the community involved in knowing that that's a resource there for them. We have free bird walks twice a year. One of our local friends from the Audubon Society does free bird walks in September and April. And our eagle they got its nest knocked down during the hurricane, did re-nest, and we have at least one baby up in there right now, so we're waiting to see the baby take flight sometime before too long. But the school kids are fascinated because when you look up in that tree, it's about the size of a smart car, the nest is, and the kids just find that just the coolest thing they've ever seen when it's out there. Luckily, we haven't had it catch an animal right in front of the kids. Some of them would think it was cool. I think it might traumatize some of them, but it's a circle of life, so it would all be okay. There just are a lot of amazing things that are going on, and it's happening so much because of the community support and support of organizations like this. And I really have to thank all of you, both personally and as an organization, for all the support you give. Because Sotterley, since we're not as county, state, or federal organization, we are here because of a community that cares. And all that we do, whether you come to an event or through your support here at the Rotary, you make a lot of what we do possible. You make our ability to connect people to the past, because the past means nothing if it's preserved in a bubble, if it's not shared and experienced and then made relevant for the future. That's what we try to do at Sotterley, is touch the lives of the people that come and have an understanding of the past that shapes how they're going to view their futures. And at the same time, provide a community place that people can come and have fun and experience the site. And we want to continue to be part of the community in that way. And organizations like this and the people that care make that possible. So I want to thank you so much for all that you have done over so many years to keep us going. And does anybody have any questions about things we've got going on? And I do have flyers in the back, by the way. We've got our gala coming up next week. We've got all kinds of events. We've got the speaker series and other things in the back. So please take a flyer. But are there any questions about anything we've got going on? Yes.
I love the speaker series, the ones I've been able to attend, really informative in a great setting where you're feeling like you have a conversation versus a lecture kind of thing. How do you select the speakers, and is there funding that you have to pay for the honorariums for them to come?
We do.
How does that work?
We're very fortunate that the Boeing Company helped take that on, because we just had trustees kicking in the money to do it for years. And to make it sustainable, Boeing did come on board so we can get somebody there to handle the AV, because we are not techie people and we don't have the equipment. So that and honorariums, sometimes they have to come far enough, they need to stay in a hotel overnight. So to cover those direct costs, we have Boeing helping us out with that. And one of the things that we didn't want to compromise on, we wanted it to be free. We didn't want people to have to pay. We want you just to come and have a great time. The picking the speakers is a months process. We ask the trustees, friends of Sotterley. If you know somebody great, let us know. We scour the Washington Post for the book reviews and see what's coming out. We try to get people that, as much as we have amazing local resources here, we usually try to reach a little outside, somebody that you'd have to travel a little bit to see. We want them to come to you rather than you having to come to them. So sometimes they're local-ish, but we try to get people from far. So some of these we have found from the Washington Post, some from one trustee or another might know somebody. The one coming up, we just had Contraband Cocktails talking about prohibition in the DC area, was one that Jan Briscoe, our board president, had picked up the book at the library, and she said, "Oh, this is cool." So we contacted Mr. Dixon and got it down. The one coming up in August, Love, Sex, and Consequences in the Civil War. Christy Coleman is an amazing speaker. She is the first African-American woman to head the Civil War Museum in Richmond. We heard her speak at a conference that she had gone to, and she is tremendous. So sometimes, and we really try to mix it up. We don't ever want to have one theme, because that's limiting. You don't want to have all archaeology or all one thing. So we try to mix it up. On June 26th, we have the General in the Garden. One of the curators of Mount Vernon is bringing their wonderful book about the gardens of Mount Vernon. And so that's going to be our next speaker on Sunday the 26th. So it's a long process, and there are many, many weeks that we spend culling through possibilities to try to get that magical mix. But it is fun. And I hope a lot of you come to one of the ones coming up. We just ask you to call and put your name on the list, because sometimes we've actually maxed out at capacity for the barn. Barbara, do you have a question?
Yeah, well, one is the benefits of membership in Sotterley, and the other is if you come down, can you just walk on the walking trails?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. For those who are members, and I know a number of you in the room are, we want you to come. You can come as many times as you want. Come whenever you want. Come walk on the trails. We really love it when we see people out there walking their dogs all around on the trails. So members can go on tour. They get discounts. They go come on the trails whenever they like, and go on a tour whenever they like. Come and picnic on the grounds. We really want you to connect to the site, because especially I love when people really get down and walk the trails and see the areas outside the historic core that are all part of our history, and being able to walk down toward the water and see where the people would have come in years ago. So there really are, members are the ones who are the ground base on which all of our fundraising is built, and we want our members to connect and realize how important they are to the site. So thank you, Barbara.
Well,
Yes.
I think to add to that, one of the things is that you get early notice of the things that are happening at Sotterley, and if you haven't seen the newsletter, you really should. You can get it online too, and read it, and it'll tell you what is coming up. So you have plenty of advance notice in calendars.
And also, remember, Ms. Fabby's emails, your emails that come out, you can always keep us informed
We did pull a little April Fools. I think sometimes people didn't quite get the April Fools email. So those of you who saw this, it said, what did she say we were growing? It wasn't artichokes. It was something else that we were going to have on the. It was something crazy that we were going to have on the stand, and people were calling up and saying, "Really?" And we went, "No, that's April Fool's. Sorry." So some of our emails you got to really watch, but we try to keep that in the Facebook page. Yeah. The emails and the Facebook page. We really want people to understand that it's a vibrant place. I work with amazing people, the volunteers we have at Sotterley, and if you know of anybody who is interested in helping us connect to our visitors, we desperately still need people in the museum shop. The museum shop is our first face to Sotterley. It's not just running a shop, it's our visitor center. You're sometimes the only person that they see when they come on site. So that's the friendly face who gets to know about Sotterley and introduce people. And then our docents are just absolutely tremendous. They're the ones who weave and tell the stories and make it really come alive for people. And our garden guild always needs people. And they'll even take people like me with a black thumb, because they'll say, "See that weed? That's what you put." So no matter what you have, if you know somebody who has any time to volunteer, even if it's just for a special event, let us know. We love our volunteers, and there have been years where up to 14,000 hours have been donated. That is what keeps us going. It's a lifeblood, and once again, shows the community support that we are so fortunate to have in our community. Yes, Ms. Lynn.
How many school groups do you have coming through any given school year?
Usually we have around 5,000 kids that come through, primarily in the Southern Maryland region, though they do. We had one recently from Montgomery, sometimes from Anne Arundel. Every so often they'll come down from Baltimore. The hardest thing with school groups is the school bus, trying to get the school bus fees. And I didn't realize until one of our staff members who lived in Calvert had paid for her kid to come to Sotterley, which she found ironic, but she did. And we charge only $4 for kids to come in the county. And honestly, if the kid doesn't have the money, bring them anyway. You know, we're not hung up on that. We want the kids here. We just try to underwrite a few of the costs by that. It's $8 for out of the county. But the fee for her was $27 to send her child. And a lot of that was the bus money. So someday in my happy place, there's going to be a grant that I can get. There'll be a school bus fund that will bring every child there. And I don't want that ever to be an impediment. So that's something in the future I'd love to be able to work toward. Because if you don't get them there, you know, and I see kids that right here in the county that haven't been to our programs. They've been to the county-run programs that are at the site. But many of them haven't been to our programs because the teachers actually have to arrange the buses and get that working. So we're going to crack that nut one day and get like every child here for numerous programs, because we're right here in the county. You don't have to go up to Mount Vernon. You can come right here and you can learn about so much of this stuff in an authentic setting. One of the best tours I ever gave, I think it was on a Mother's Day, and everybody else had, you know, their kids at home, and mine were in college and they didn't care. So I said, I'll do tours that day. And I gave a tour, and this one couple said, you know, we recently went to Mount Vernon, and I loved the tour. It was great. She said, I think I like this site better, and I found that interesting. And I said, well, why is that? Then she thought for a second, and she said, you know, here history is personal. I can feel it. I can feel like I'm kind of transported back. I get that understanding. And it's what we try to give to every student and everybody that comes there. And it's our goal to continue making that better. So we're not resting on our laurels. We're looking at more improvements. We're looking at new exhibits we're going to bring online. We're looking at doing a farm tour coming up. We have looking at maybe working with the Department of the Aging to bring people here for a special tour. So there are a lot of things in the work as well. And you're the first one to know that our wine event is kind of morphing. I'm not sure if it's going to be called Wine Fest this year, but it's going to be everything you love, but with beer tastings too. You're the first ones who know. You're on the leading edge. So that's going to be going on this year. So if you like beer and you're like on wine, we've got an event for you. So it'll all be good. Well, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it so much.